Okay, so it seems that there's been a little bit of a situation that has blown up over on Twitter. Now, this is going to be a very hard one to kind of navigate because obviously there's a lot of different opinions floating around, a lot of different kind of spectrums of this kind of stuff because many people don't like some things, some people are more extreme, some people don't really care. You know, it's a very, very big mix. And I think that obviously this is something that I really wanted to talk about and just kind of discuss and kind of give, I guess, my understanding and my opinion on this kind of thing. Obviously, so essentially this was a VTuber group which released the other day, essentially saying that, you know, the VTards have assembled. Now, I honestly think this is quite funny. I think this is the first thing that blew up over in this situation was this tweet from Akemi Kurai. And obviously it's including Akemi Kurai, Shurwan, Kitsura Nines, Wendy Gogo, and also Nakisu Miku, which we will be talking about later on. You could probably guess by the name so far, but obviously they say a VTuber group, not Corpo, currently comprised of 5 based anime girls, VTubers who aren't afraid to speak their mind and go against what is deemed politically correct. Okay, fine. Obviously, then there was a lot of hatred towards them, and people were not happy about the name. People saying, "What the hell is this? Let's create a VTuber group and call ourselves the slur for autistic people. We're so cool. Shut up! I'm sick of you acting like the word retard isn't a slur and doesn't hurt people. This is grade A high school shit. I don't care if me speaking about this gets me hate. The word retard/tard is offensive and will always be. Intellectual disabilities are not a joke. What the hell?" So obviously, yeah, that was one of the main people that was very mad about this, and this was one of the main people that kind of blew up on Twitter for being mad about this. And obviously, me personally, I don't really care. If you want to use the word retard in a thing, I think it's quite funny. I think calling them VTards is pretty funny objectively. And obviously, a lot of people have been making fun of them, saying this is grade A high school stuff, saying the person who can't mature past a high school understanding of the world. I wonder if she uses the word lame. Now, obviously, whenever it comes to using the word retard and stuff like that, I think, you know, like if it's like directed at a disabled person to actually cause harm to them, then obviously I don't think it's okay. I think it's kind of messed up. But I think whenever you're just using it around, you know, I think it's like so many people use it. I don't really care. You know, it's not really going to affect anybody. And there's even been people as well who are saying, like, as a medically diagnosed autistic man, I don't care who uses the word. You know, I went to a special needs school and the kids here call each other retard all the time. If anything, you're being immature for crying over a word. Grow a thicker skin, which obviously, yeah, obviously people saying, you know, nobody said that you're speaking for everybody, but honestly, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. And I think this is probably one of the smaller things whenever it comes to this VTuber group and the kind of controversy that they've gone through. I think if you want to enjoy it, then totally go ahead. I mean, it's fine. But obviously, then it got even worse to the point where Kitsunero obviously made a tweet saying, couple of thoughts. If you call yourself based, you are not based. Which, yeah, I did think that was pretty cringe, just like saying you're based, like yourself. Like, is that for you to decide? I mean, I don't really know. But obviously, you know, that's just a kind of mute point. It doesn't really matter. But obviously they said Nakisu Miku seems to enjoy Nazi ideologies. And this is obviously where the video takes a little bit more of a, I guess, darker kind of route. Obviously they say, and not just some haha edgy joke, but like they legitimately enjoy it and support it. They say it's one thing to be sarcastic and edgy about it, it's another thing to actually support that, which obviously I do think is true. And obviously this was now revealed to a lot of people that one of the VTuber members straight up supports a lot of stuff to do with Nazis and, you know, everything to do with it and everything in between. And obviously, yeah, I feel like, you know, that is kind of messed up. I mean, you know, hot take, guys, I dislike Nazis. Like, wow, you know, cancel me. Well, like, whatever. But obviously, I think that, you know, there is different kind of, like, layers to this whenever it comes to this kind of stuff. Is the fact that, you know, for example, some people can like make like Nazi jokes or whatever. I don't care. I think that's, you know, sometimes they can even be funny, you know. I think, you know, people can make jokes about it. People can, you know, do whatever they want about it in terms of like fiction. But I think whenever it comes to actively supporting, you know, what they do and what they, you know, advocate for, I think then it starts to become a really, really big problem. And that's where I kind of disagree with, because obviously many people are saying it's not that bad. They're just dressing up in a uniform, whatever. And sure, you know, you could totally be like, okay, whatever. And there's been a lot of people as well in the comments and in my replies. So there's going to be people in these comments as well saying, oh my God, she's so based. I'm going to go follow, blah, blah, blah. You know, okay, sure, go ahead, do what you want. But obviously, yeah, then there was obviously people trying to like cancel all the other members. For example, this person called Nines, who said, just because I'm in a group with people who have strong or controversial views doesn't mean I share every single one of them. I believe in free speech. Everyone is allowed an opinion. Even if I don't agree with it, I'm not here to police others, and I won't be policed either. If that bothers you, don't follow me, don't watch me. So yeah, essentially people were trying to rope in some of the other people to this person's actions in the like vtard group. Now obviously I don't think, you know, obviously some of them have expressed their interest in the topic, but obviously none of them have gone as far as Nakisu Miku. For example, Akemi, the one who posted this kind of whole thing, they actually posted fan art of them in a uniform, which again, obviously a lot of people, you know, don't really care about, but I do think, you know, I personally would stay away from that. And obviously, you know, I've been a big advocate for, if you don't like something, just don't watch it. And I will 100% not be watching it because I don't like it. But, you know, obviously I do think, you know, there's different kind of layers to this that a lot of people kind of get confused over. And obviously, as I said, you know, it's all of this kind of stuff that's been going on. But essentially, what I kind of wanted to get down to as well is because obviously I've seen a lot of people kind of sympathizing with this person and, you know, obviously actively kind of supporting the fact that, you know, they are, you know, being a Nazi on the internet or whatever. And again, if you support that, again, I don't really agree with you, but at the end of the day, I don't care. You know, it's Twitter. You know, there's thousands of these people on Twitter, I'm going to be honest. And is anything going to happen to them? Probably not. They're probably going to gain an audience. And obviously, I think that's pretty bad. But obviously, again, what can I do about it? Nothing really. I mean, that is literally just how the internet goes. And obviously, you know, I think that where I kind of draw the line here is for some of the comments that they've been saying. Again, you know, as I said, lots of people have been saying, oh yeah, it's fine for them to be doing this, and this. But I think whenever we get into the actual comments of what they've been saying, this is just something they uploaded onto Imgur just to kind of, you know, keep all of this together. They said, you know, these are some of the replies. They're saying, you know, telling people to go back to Israel. They're saying that, they said, for example, this one says, too bad it looks nothing like this anymore thanks to the de-whitening of America. Obviously, a clearly racist comment there. And I think that is essentially where I'm, you know, I don't like it at all. You know, I think if you want to role play as a Nazi on the internet, fine. You like it's a free country, I guess. Well, at least I'm guessing they're from America. I don't know where they're from. But you know, there's a lot of free speech and stuff. People can say whatever they want. But I think that, you know, obviously the racism and the clear, you know, a kind of like, it's not a joke anymore. Obviously, lots of people were saying it was a joke and that, you know, it's not that big of a deal because it's a joke. But whenever you look into this, you know, screenshots and stuff and the clips, it's really not a joke. For example, they say popular opinion, I think pro-Semitism should be punishable by death. Obviously making fun of the fact that they're being, you know, popular by saying that they like Jewish people, which is crazy. Obviously, then as well, we've got this one screenshot from them essentially saying that this is not a joke. And obviously they could be joking about that, being like making that a further joke. But I think, you know, obviously this is pretty solid proof that they are not supporting everything. They said, fair enough, the only thing I don't support with Nazis is on killing people, which is a weird one to you know, disagree with if you literally agree with everything else. I mean, you know, obviously if you agree with everything else, I don't really know how you're supposed to get to that conclusion without, you know, killing people. I mean, I don't really see how, you know, you would get to that. But anyways, they say everything else I basically fully support, not a joke. So yeah, obviously they're saying it's not a joke, apart from the if they ever say they want to you know, game end people. They say, yes, so bad. What kind of monster will want a harmonious, homogenous society for their people? Obviously, kind of glorifying, you know, a kind of Nazi place, which I think is just, I don't like that at all. Obviously, they're saying, checking my notifications, thanks for the follow, and obviously it's a terrible thing to be kind of putting as your name on Rumble. So I think that, yeah, it's terrible. And obviously, I don't like any of this. I feel like any of this stuff, if you support this, I feel like, you know, especially after seeing these replies, again, as I said, some people are fine with the fact that they are, like, you know, doing almost like a cosplay as this, whatever, fine, whatever. But I think whenever you get into their comments and things like that, I think it gets pretty bad, you know. And then also this clip was probably the kind of nail in the coffin for me, at least, and obviously maybe it will be for you. But essentially, this is a clip from their Twitter. As you can see, it's officially from their Twitter, 14 seconds long. I'm going to play my one that I uploaded of it because I actually pre-censored it, so I don't have to go and censor this in the editing studio, even further. But I'll just play it for you. This is her playing a game called Ethno Guesser, where you essentially guess where the people are from.
Very nice. Genghis Khan, yep. It's above China, yeah. Holy crap, these are the nearest news I've seen out here.
So yeah, obviously she's using a racial slur to describe black people, which obviously I think is definitely where I draw the line. You know, obviously, you know, you could disagree about the Nazi stuff, you could disagree about literally everything else, but I think using racial terms to describe black people is completely disgusting, and I don't support that at all. I think that is absolutely disgusting that someone would, you know, even go on live to even say that, let alone be thinking that in the first place. And I think that obviously, you know, this is a really big problem. There's so many different nuances to this situation where people are now trying to defend this person called Nakisu Miku. Obviously, there's been a couple of arguments which have been going around in the community, which I just kind of want to talk about. Obviously, one person, for example, saying, how on earth would you know, how on earth did people not know that this was the case with their name? It's called Nakisu, which obviously kind of, you know, resembles what they kind of do on their channel. Now, I want to say, you know, it's regardless of, you know, what people knew about them in the first place. You know, I don't know why people keep bringing up this point, like, you should have known in the first place that is their name. That's not the problem we've got with here. It's not the problem that we think, oh, you know, they're tricking us or something like that. That's not the problem. The problem is what they're actively posting on their pages, and I think that's what some people just don't understand. And obviously, yeah, there's a lot of people that want to be edgy and cool and say that's based or whatever, but obviously, you know, you are just fueling a, you know, pretty solid, you know, Nazi that literally likes that kind of stuff. And also, there's been another point which I've seen going around as well. For example, people saying that, you know, obviously in this day and age, people like to call people this literally for whatever reason. You could literally just like burn some food and someone will call you a Nazi for it, you know, and, you know, people would be like, you know, getting mad at you and calling you that word just due to the fact of you just like, you know, minorly messing up, you know, nothing to do with the actual ideology itself. But whenever it comes to this, people have been trying to use that as an argument against this, saying that, you know, they're calling her this due to the fact of, you know, it's a common buzzword for people to use against people that they dislike. But let's be honest here, like, this is literally someone who is actively going online and being a Nazi. They are literally like bar for bar, you know. I completely agree that, you know, it's a word that gets completely misused all the time. Yeah, I completely agree that that is a problem. But whenever it comes to this in particular, they are literally by definition being a Nazi, and I think that obviously is pretty horrible. And obviously, yeah, I mean, this was pretty much the entire situation. I kind of want to talk about it, obviously, because there's been a lot of arguments and things going around. I hope that, like, I've provided, like, more of a kind of, not like neutral stance on it, but, like, you know, just a more understandable stance, especially for some of the people that maybe, you know, are trying a little bit on the fence on it and don't really know what's going on and maybe didn't have some of this extra context, because obviously sometimes context does matter. Sometimes having these clips of her, you know, saying these racial slurs and things online and saying these kind of things in her replies, everything like that, is kind of extra added stuff, because obviously, as I said, people have different layers as to what they accept and what they don't accept. And I think, you know, obviously I've kind of uncovered most of the layers here. Maybe there's even more clips out there, I don't know, but obviously, you know, maybe I'll give you guys an update if you really want to see that. Again, I don't really plan on interacting with this going forwards. Obviously, I don't really want to interact with someone who is spreading this kind of stuff, but I think at the end of the day, will they be taken down? Probably not. I mean, I think that Twitter somehow allows a lot of this kind of stuff. And, you know, am I calling for them to be taken down? I don't think so either. Obviously, there's another point that, you know, that people were bringing up was the fact that, like, oh, you know, it's probably better to tackle this like head on. Like, it's probably better, rather than saying let's silence them and delete them off the platform, it's better to kind of talk it out with them and tell them, you know, why this is bad, or, you know, discuss why they think this way in that kind of sense. But I don't really know how that would really happen in the first place. But obviously, yeah, I do think it is horrible. I dislike it very heavily, and I definitely especially dislike a lot of the kind of actions that we saw in the clips and the screenshots that we just had. But yeah, that's all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kenzo, get 10% off again. There's a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.